In tonight's All-Star Game, you'll see a lot of outstanding players. You know that pretty much by the statistics. But to me, statistics never tell the true story. One of the outstanding on-deck batters consistently, an all-star on-deck batter, is Joe Torre. What does it take to be a good on-deck batter?
Well, you've got to first of all, you've got to be sure that you've got your equipment in good shape. I get to the ballpark, the first thing I do is check the seams of my pants. Because kneeling on your knee all the time puts a lot of stress and strain on the pants, and to split a seam during the course of a ball game could be awfully embarrassing.
Well, that's the hidden part of it. What about your equipment here?
You have to make a choice. You come down here now, you've got your kneeling pad, which is all important. Now, you've got the pine tar rag, which is right here. Now, this pine tar rag in particular has a little bit too much on there. So what I do is after I use the rag, I mix it with some rosin, spit on my hands a little bit, so it's not too sticky, because if I only used the pine tar rag, I'd have trouble dropping this bat when I hit the ball. Then your other decision is whether you want to use the leaded bat, the weighted bat. Some guys' hands aren't big enough to be able to hold both the weighted bat and the regular bat. Of course, when you're young and you come up, you see a lot of these rookies. What they tend to do, Joe, is they get a little flustered, bases are loaded, and they go to the next hitter, and some of them try to pull the donut off this way, and as you can see, it's literally impossible. You've got to bounce it off this way.
Now, I notice you're kneeling on your right knee. Are you a right knee on-deck batter?
Well, I started my career as a right knee on-deck batter, but to stay on one knee all the time, if the hitter at the plate happens to foul off a lot of pitches, your leg could fall asleep and you could be in big trouble.
Do you ever kneel on both knees? I see some fellas doing that.
Well, there is a reason for that. It has nothing to do with being on deck. It has a lot more to do with the pitcher who's pitching against them. What they're doing is not waiting to hit, but they're saying a little prayer.
What runs through your mind when the fellow who's up there right ahead of you hits a home run?
Fear. Fear. I'm scared to death.
What advice would you give to young players who really want to be good on-deck batters?
Here, if you step out of the way, I'll take a couple swings and try to explain what a kid coming up should do. Now, see, if you notice, when I took that swing, I spotted somebody in the stands that I knew, and you can either nod or give them a little hand hello or something like that.
Would you do that for us if you spotted somebody?
Sure. Let me do it this way. One of those numbers. Joe, wait a minute. Joe, that's one thing you don't do in the on-deck circle, is watch the planes. They're trying to break your concentration. You got to really discipline yourself to stay down, keep your head down, and if you're going to look up somewhere, it's got to be in the stands or at a camera.
Joe, when we go to a regular game or a World Series or like tonight, the All-Star Game, are there certain players we should really be looking at in the on-deck circle?
Well, yeah, I think so, Joe. Lou Brock, for one. That's the slowest you'll see him move all year, is in the on-deck circle. And Hank Aaron, who is the epitome of nervousness, and you see him kneeling on that one leg. Bobby Bonds, get a chance to see him in the National League for so many years now. The people in the American League are starting to enjoy his performances in the on-deck circle.
Joe, you've really scouted them all. Are there any other players?
Well, Rod Carew, for instance, Joe, he has a tendency to get a little lonely on deck, and he needs a little counseling or somebody to talk to him. And I know Reggie Jackson, he has a habit of checking the crowds when he gets on deck, as I often do. Pitcher Lynn McLaughlin, to me, typifies a pitcher in the on-deck circle. I think that's the primary reason the American League went to the designated hitter, so that the pitchers didn't have to get in there. Greg Lazinski, when you think of Greg, you think of muscles. He likes to flex his muscles on deck. And then Thurman Munson, of course, from the Yankees, he sort of copies of Lou, as far as I'm concerned.
Twitchy.
Yeah.
I mean, are there any other players?
Well, a ball player on my ball club, Rusty Staub, for some reason or other, he uses the pine tar rag, but only in the dugout. He has somebody throw it to him when they're on deck. And I really don't know the reason, Joe, that he doesn't want anybody to know he uses the tar.
Joe, what changes would you like to see in baseball?
You know, they've been making so many changes to help the hitters with the DH in the American League. I think we're ready for the DODB.
DODB?
Yeah, the designated on-deck batter.
You'd like to see that?
Yes, in fact, I have a son, and I've already bought him a weighted bat and pine tar rag and a cushion, because I think it would make my heart proud to know one day he's in a major league uniform kneeling in my footsteps.